What's up and welcome back to my channel. One day I was just practicing DJing at home and I looked over in the mirror, and I've always been very muscular and toned, and I just noticed that my glutes didn't match the rest of my body. So I had huge calves, big upper body, I guess you could say, but my glutes were just like this soft little squish that went from like leg to back. And in that moment I decided that I wanted to change that, so I hired a coach, and then after that I competed again in bodybuilding, and I wanted to share with you some of the things that I did to double or even triple the size of my glutes in 1.5 years. Now, people think that you can just sign up to some 6-week program or do it in a few weeks or even a couple months, but it honestly takes a long time to build muscle, and especially because it's like the biggest muscle on our body. So it's going to require a lot of dedication and consistency and progressive overload over time. And just to add on to that, with the difference in the pictures, I am a natural athlete and I've also been plant-based for 7.5 years as well. So I did that on my own. So the first thing I did was actually reduce the weight that I was lifting. I actually lift like 1/3 less of what I used to do. And what I noticed was I used to heave the whole weight up with whatever exercise. So say if I'm doing squats or Romanian deadlifts, I'm just like lowering it and heaving it up as heavy as I could go. But now that I lift lighter, I can actually do a more controlled movement. So say if it's Romanian deadlifts, I'm like slowly lowering down, really feeling it in my glutes, really focusing on the tempo and muscle activation and keeping the right form. Same with, I don't do normal squats because it just hurts my traps and I just don't really like them, but I do squats on the Smith machine sometimes or reverse lunges. So instead of just squatting down and like heaving up, I'm squatting down to a certain level where I can feel it, like the peak at my glute, and then I'm really thinking about using the glute to push me back up, and I'm like really squeezing the muscle to activate the right areas. So I basically had to retrain myself how to work out from the beginning again, and it was pretty hard. Like, I'd never really done hip thrust before, because when I tried it I just felt like I didn't have the right form, or it just felt unnatural. So then I'm like, okay, go and do hip thrust, just use I do it on the machine, like the assisted machine, so just use the machine weight, and quite often I just do like higher reps instead of like loading up the bar and not actually doing, like executing the lift properly. And another favorite exercise of mine is horizontal single leg press. So when I'm coming down, I'm not just like going super fast and just coming down most of the way. I'm making sure I come right down to the bottom, but not letting the muscle relax, just getting the full range of motion, and then like really making sure it's turned on before slowly pushing myself back up. And I really enjoy the workouts with higher reps and less weight, because I just feel like it's a bit easier on the body as well. I used to always dread leg days and I would always skip them and maybe just do like one a week, but now leg days is basically all I do, and my upper body basically just looks like this from stacking the machines for my lower body or holding the dumbbells for my lower body or the barbell. So I do just like one lot of dumbbell shoulder press a week, a few lateral raise, and maybe some cable rows, but that's about it. And if I ever skip a workout, it's usually the upper body day, just because I find it like easy to put on muscle there, but lower body is harder to build, and I compete in wellness, so I physically need a fuller lower body for my category. Also with lunges as well, which I quite often do with the dumbbells, you can also do them on the Smith machine, like Bulgarian split squats as well, just for more stability. So to target the quads, you go straight down, or to focus on the glute, you slightly lean forward a little bit, and it's just that slight change in where, like the angle of your torso, that's going to be hitting different areas. So I hope that little tip helps. The second thing I did was have meals prepped ahead of time, or at least have a basic plan of what I'll be eating. So even if you don't want to follow a meal plan, just cook like 4 servings of your dinner, or have a few breakfasts that you rotate. And when I am on a meal plan, I just rotate that like once every 4 or 6 weeks or something like that. I should do another updated video on intuitive eating versus meal plans. I've always been very against meal plans because I've always been an intuitive eater and just find it very easy to do. But when you're trying to reach a new level, you really need data, because without data you don't know what you're doing, and the nutrition is the baseline of all of your gym results. So when I was in prep, there was just a few little changes I made. So instead of driving to a promo job and stopping in at Macca's and getting a iced caramel latte and banana bread, I would make a protein shake before I left the house and drink that on the way, and then some kind of protein snack, or even a piece of fruit or something from my plan that I can eat if I get hungry when I'm out and about. So it's those little changes throughout the day. Like, honestly, if you just tweak a few little things, it will save you so many calories. Like choosing a different option when it comes to sugar, even looking at the oil you use in your pan. So I just use like a tiny drizzle of olive oil or sesame oil. But when I was in prep, I switched to a spray bottle because I didn't need to track it. But I did see someone the other day go to cook something and then pour in coconut oil from the jar. That is very dangerous. Like, I know we've got all these vegan treats and everything, like raw slices, where they do have like coconut oil in them as an actual ingredient. They're just very high in calories, so they've got to be eaten in moderation. But not even pouring like olive oil from a bottle, coconut oil from the jar. So that's like, so 1 tablespoon is 120 calories of oil. So say if that was like 3 tablespoons, that's 360 calories, which is the size of a big snack or a small meal, just in oil. So I don't say like cut out all oil or anything like that, but just be mindful of those little things that add up throughout your day. Whether you're getting sugar syrup in your coffee, or quite often if I'm feeling really tired and I'm stopping to get gas, or like stop in and get a Kit Kat, and then it got to the point I was like driving around with emergency Kit Kats in my bag. So I had to wean myself off that and switch to peppermint chocolate, and then to peppermint dark chocolate when I was in prep. So now I'm actually weaned off the chocolate, which is incredible. Like, I still have it, or have like an occasional one, but I'm not like needing it for an afternoon sugar rush, or eating it in bed, eating 500 calories worth of chocolate in bed at night after a shift or something like that. So I'm just a lot more conscious of how those things add up, but you're not going to get that data if you don't track. And if you're someone who doesn't like tracking and you're worried that it might disrupt your relationship with food or just be too complex, if you can just roughly track protein, so trying to hit say 120 or 130 calories. If you're eating animal products, 150 is a lot easier to hit, but 120 is really good if you're on a vegan or plant-based diet, and that will, of course, depends on your weight and everything like that as well. But if you can just track protein, like when you look at breakfast, if you're having avocado on toast or some cereal or something, it doesn't pack a lot. So then if you think you need to reach this amount by the end of the day, you better start when you wake up, honestly, because otherwise, that happens to me like quite often. If I'm not intentional with my meals, it'll be like 3 p.m. and I'm like, oh my god, I've only eaten like 20 or 30 grams, so I've got like 100 calories of 100 grams of protein left to go just in like this little end bit of the day. So if you can just track protein, or even like roughly calculate it in your mind, like, oh yeah, cool, this protein smoothie has 20 grams and this lunch that I made has 20 or 30 grams or something like that. When you eat enough protein, there's less room for other not so healthy foods. So I still eat those every day, but if you can get what you need in first and then have the treats later, you're less likely to overeat on the treats. The third thing I did was actually prioritizing my training sessions. Before my last comp, if it got to nighttime, this is why I like bodybuilding. I got asked last night, like, why I even like it. And I like it because you're striving to reach your peak. And the way I look at it is, you don't really do that in life unless it's like your wedding day and you want to look like the best you've ever looked kind of thing. So there's not really any other opportunity to look your best, and I really like having the long-term goal to work towards. So you're striving to reach your peak conditioning with like the most muscle and the least amount of body fat on a certain day, and then capturing that with the photo shoots and your posing and everything like that. So before my last show, I would be like, I just hated leg days and stuff. So I'd be like, oh, it's getting a bit late in the day. Oh no, it's just about peak hour. Oh, it's dark outside now. Like, I missed my chance. So then when I was in prep, I started going to the gym at nighttime, sometimes by choice if I wanted to work on my business during the day or do other tasks that required the most brain capacity. It can actually be really peaceful at the gym at night. Same thing as if it's raining, like, oh no, it's raining, I can't go, but it's not actually a valid excuse. And if I'm super busy, like, it honestly has been hard to fit in my training sessions in the last few weeks. Like, that's why I haven't even posted a video for like 3 weeks, because I've honestly been flat out working 2 or even 3 shifts in a day, working night to morning shifts, sleeping 4 hours for 3 or 2 nights in a row, and then it takes like a couple of days to recover from that. It's honestly been really crazy. It's like I had no work and I was like dealing with some things, and now I've got so much work. It's like a bit much at the moment. So instead of, like, if it's a day I feel like I physically can and I don't need to rest in between, I'll just try fit in like 40 minutes of my leg day in between shifts before I need to go or something. So it's obviously not ideal. It's better to do a whole leg day or the whole workout if you can. But if it's going to cause you to skip your session, and if you physically feel able to, like you're not super sore from your period or like feeling physically horrible, then just do what you can, and just applying that mindset to lots of things. Like, okay, well, I can't hit this thing perfectly, so what can I do to at least get halfway there or most of the way there? And the fourth thing I did was adjusting the macros on my plate. So I was just thinking about this the other day. After my breakup, I kind of fell into a lull with my self-care and nutrition, and because I had no appetite, I was crying every day, 5 times a day and night for 5 months. Lifeline had to ask me to stop calling so I could actually like integrate the advice, and like, yeah, it was just excessive. And I just couldn't look after myself. And then the deeper I fell into that, like, the less nutrients I had in my body. So then I had less energy to cook and more brain fog. And like, it was just this deep hole basically. And when I was in the supermarket yesterday, I was looking in the freezer and I was like, oh my God, that's right. I turned some of these meals into my actual meals, not just a treat. So when I was in my last relationship, we would get these Nature's Kitchen mushroom and lentil pies, which are so delicious. And we would cook them with air fryer wedges for like a treat night, like once every few weeks if we're having a movie night at home or something. And then it got to the point we'd start having that every week. And then after my breakup, when I finally moved into this house, I would just cook it like a few nights a week, which is just white pastry carbs. And I think it had like 10 grams of protein in the pie. I can't remember, but it was like pretty low. Like, it's not going to help you really get to the 130 grams a day or whatever. And then potato wedges. And then I realized my comfort food, whenever I'm going through something and feel like I couldn't look after myself, I would always revert to bread. Like, I would just make some kind of like sandwich. Like, I love that cacao cashew butter, or I'll just make like a peanut butter sandwich. So I'm just there like eating white bread and white pastry and white potato chips. Like the whole diet is beige. And that's because I was going through a hard time. But when eating this way becomes your norm, you need to rebalance out your plate. So you need like way more veggies, and you need to make protein a way higher priority if you want to achieve your physique goals. There's so many people out there, like all these vegans in the Facebook group, and they're like, nah, all food has protein, you don't even need to worry about it. But it's like, okay, well, if this mushroom or whatever has 2 grams and you're replacing a meat patty with it, 2 grams does not count. Or like the cauliflower steak thing. You can eat a cauliflower steak because you feel like it, but that is not the meat replacement now. That is the veggie. So you need another meat replacement, whether it's seitan, some kind of mock meat, tofu. You can get veggie sausages that are made from tofu and herbs, textured vegetable protein, veggie mince. Like cauliflower steak is not the substitute. Neither is jackfruit and mushroom. So they all argue online, and they're just like, no, you don't even need to worry. Yes, you do, if you want to actually get anywhere. So yeah, when I came out of that lull, I started really focusing on building up the protein I'm having in my meals and utilizing protein powder. You don't need to demonize it. Not all processed food is bad. It's actually very, very useful if you're eating plant-based, and even if you're just struggling with appetite, or you've just got like a bit of protein left to go but you don't really want something big. You can even just stir water into it and turn it into a mousse and just eat it with a spoon, or like add some berries or sliced almonds or something like that. Like it doesn't need to be hard, but utilize the protein and actually look at the macros on your plate. If you want to dive more into how to achieve your dream physique on a plant-based diet, or well, especially on a plant-based diet, or just in general, but really, really helpful for vegans and other people on this path, I have finally finished my plant protein cheat codes ebook. I've been trying to get this done since November, and I finally set aside some time for deep focus work on like the last 2 days, and I am launching it today at the time of filming this. So when the video goes live, it'll be ready to go and ready to download. So I go through, and I've gone through some of the Facebook groups where people are sharing their real meals, and I've done my review on it to share what I would change or what I would add in or take away to actually make it complete and actually get you the body of your dreams. And I also discuss some easy ways to boost your protein throughout the day, samples of meals I regularly eat to fuel my training and to just look and feel my best, but without sacrificing flavor or spending hours in the kitchen, because I'm not about long complex recipes with heaps of ingredients and a long as list of what to do. I also discuss a little bit about navigating dining out and grabbing food on the go, because cafes and restaurants, their priority is to meet the dietary requirement of no animal products. Their priority isn't to give you a complete meal or give you protein at all. So I'll just share like a couple of the things that I choose, or how to navigate this, and also how to choose the right mock meat. And I've just done a comparison of a few different Australian brands. This one is something I've always been so interested in, because the general public always criticize mock meat. Vegans and plant-based eaters also get asked why they eat mock meat. Well, they get laughed at about why they eat mock meat that replicates real meat if they try not to eat it. So when I was explaining it to someone the other day, they were like, oh, that's actually really helpful, because I've never had that conversation before. So if you're wondering why, and you are actually not like trying to bully people about it, say you grow up and you always got cottage pie or something from your grandma, and that's just like this special recipe that reminds you of her, or yeah, any kind of like family recipe or traditions and things like that, or cultural meals. And if they made a replacement called something else, like Zendaya or something. Oh shit. So if they made a replacement called Zendaya or something random, how would you know what to replace the mince with? Or say if it's a chicken dish, like this toasted chicken schnitzel burger that you really want to make, but it's called like totem, I don't know, then how are you gonna know what to put in there as the replacement? So that's why they call it a similar thing, like plant-based lamb or chicken-free chicken or whatever. It's just so you know what to choose, but it means that you can eat your favorite meals and your favorite foods, but no one has to die. So you don't need to give up flavor or texture or anything like that, but it's a more conscious plate, or it might feel more in alignment with your soul and your values. So that's why they do that. But there's a lot of pushback against it, like with Impossible Burger compared to normal beef patty, etc. But a lot of brands are ultra processed, yes, and there are more natural ones. And some of them you can have for a treat. It doesn't mean you can never have them. And some of them are better to enjoy more often than the treat ones. So yeah, I've done a bit of a breakdown explaining those brands and how to navigate the supermarket. And this guide will leave you feeling empowered about making better decisions to achieve your dream body, so you can actually feel nourished from the inside out, build muscle and lose fat. So plant protein cheat codes will be available in the link below. I hope you enjoy it. If you want to connect with me for more regular content, I post almost daily on Instagram and TikTok at Cassie Amber Wellness. I share the episodes to both my podcast and the video version to YouTube, so feel free to check out the alternative if you haven't already. And don't forget to subscribe if you like this kind of content. Let me know what you thought the most helpful tip is, or what you struggle with the most, and I'd love to have a chat with you in the comments. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.